Today on Let Them Talk TV, the modal verb will as you've never seen it before. Yes, that's right. I'm sure you have learned at school that will is used to indicate the future. But when you're learning modal verbs in English, think of each of them as a kind of Swiss Army knife with many different tools. You have the knife tool, the scissors, and that sharpy, pointy thing you don't really know what it's used for. Will is no different. That sharpy, pointy thing is will as a present tense, and this is what we are going to look at today. In this video, you will learn 5 ways how will is used in the present. Will for present assumptions, will for repetitive actions in the present, as well as would for past repetitive actions. You'll learn won't for refusals, car won't start. Will for requests and orders. Will you open the door? And the expression, if you will. Let's get straight into it. The first use of will as a present tense is to talk about situations that you assume to be true, or you believe it's definitely true, even though you cannot see it or verify it at the moment of speaking or writing. Let's have a look at some examples. Imagine you want to phone your grandmother at 11 p.m. at night, but your mother stops you and says, "No, don't call her. She'll be sleeping now. She will be sleeping now." Now, your mother doesn't have any proof that she's asleep, but your grandmother always goes to bed early. If your mother said she is sleeping now, it would imply that she has seen your grandmother asleep, which is not the case. So you wouldn't say she is sleeping now because you don't have the proof. You don't know for certain, okay? So it's just an assumption. So use she will be sleeping now. Let me give you a couple more examples, but this time you can help me with the answer. I want to buy some new shoes, and I tell you, hey, I'm going to Cobbler's shoe shop in town. And then you remember that today is a public holiday. You will say to me, what would you say? "Oh, no, don't go to Cobbler's today." Why not? Well, because it'll be closed now. As in the last example, you don't know for certain because you're not there, and sometimes shoe shops open on public holidays, but you assume that it is closed, and that's why you say it will be closed and not it is closed. Once again, if you check on the website and they say it's closed, then you can say it's closed now because you're talking about a fact and not an assumption. One more example. Little Johnny has been working all day. He was working so much that he didn't have time for lunch. Hey, we should make little Johnny something to eat. Why? Because he's been working all day and he'll be hungry now. Okay? Or he will be hungry now. You got it? Of course, if he phones and tells you he's hungry, then you don't say that because you have the facts. So you would say because he's hungry. I know because I just spoke to him. Okay, but we're dealing with assumptions, so he'll be hungry now. Can you use this form in the negative? Yes, we can. Just use will not or contract it to won't. It's a public holiday, so the shop won't be open now, or little Johnny had a big lunch, so we don't need to make him any food because, what do you think? Put it in the negative. He won't be hungry now. Okay. And what about the past tense? Yes, you can use this in the past tense. Just change will to would. If you use the word now, then change it to then, to reflect that you're talking about the past. My mother told me not to call my grandmother so late because she said she would be sleeping then. Or I told him not to go and buy shoes from cobbler's shoe shop because it was a bank holiday and it would be closed. Good. Let's move on to number 2. A repetitive action in the present. Listen to this sentence. Every evening, Grandad will sit in his favourite armchair and fall asleep watching television. So in the sentence, we're not talking about tonight or next week, but something that happens again and again. It's a present tense. So that's Grandad's habit. Okay? Let's look at another example. Generally, in the mornings, I will go to the gym for an hour before going to work. Okay. Can I say I go to the gym for an hour before going to work? Yes, I can. But if you add will, it makes it clear that it repeats regularly. Let's look at one more example. Compare these 2 sentences. If you drink and drive, you're going to crash your car. If you will drink and drive, you're going to crash your car. In the first sentence, it's a fact, okay? Alcohol and driving, they don't mix. So you don't do it, it's dangerous. But in the second case, the speaker is complaining or warning the listener that he's done it again and again, and it's dangerous. Another example, if you will skip your class, you'll fail your exams. That little addition of will in the sentence is very subtle, isn't it? But it just means that you skipped class again and again. Can we put this in the past tense? Yes. In fact, it's more common in the past than in the present because we use it a lot in storytelling, in novels. So just change, like before, just change will to would. Do you go to the gym now? No, I don't. But when I lived in London, I would go to the gym for an hour before work. Okay? Now your turn. Every evening, Grandad would sit in his favourite armchair and fall asleep. In these examples, in the past tense, you could also use used to, but would is very common for repetitive events, especially in storytelling. For more information about used to, check out this video here, okay, where we discuss would and used to. What about in the negative? Well, yes and no. If you use it in the negative, the meaning changes a little. And let's look at that as the next point. Won't for refusals. You can use will not or won't to talk about people or things refusing to do something. Let's look at an example. She won't talk to me. This means she refuses to talk to me. She won't answer the phone. She refuses to answer the phone. She doesn't answer the phone. On the other hand, it's different. There is no suggestion of refusal. Perhaps it's just not there and doesn't pick up. The car won't start. This is what we say when a machine or a thing has a life of its own and it refuses to obey our commands. The door won't open. The computer won't connect to Wi-Fi. Can we say the car doesn't start? Well, maybe, but the car won't start is more idiomatic and much more common, so do learn it. Now it's your turn. I asked the pirate where the treasure is, but what do you think? He won't tell me. Can you use this in the past? Yes, you can. Just change won't to wouldn't. I asked the pirate where the treasure was, but he wouldn't tell me. The car wouldn't start. I phoned her, but she wouldn't answer. Excellent. Next, let's look at will for requests and orders. I'm sure you know that you can use can and could to make a request. Can you help me with my maths homework? Could you not make such a noise? I'm trying to sleep. But did you know you can also use will in these type of sentences? The difference is that when you use will, it's not really a question. It's kind of a polite command or order. So, for example, will you help me with my bags? They're very heavy. If I say, help me with my bags, it's a bit strong and some may consider it rude. If I say, could you help me with my bags, it's a bit weak and it's a question, so they can say no. So here are a couple more examples. Will you stop making so much noise? I'm trying to sleep now. I don't believe you. Will you tell me the truth? Okay, so there you are. Will as a polite command. Now there is a question as to whether this is in fact a question. Do you put a question mark at the end of the sentence? I say no, but many would disagree, so you'll have to make your own decision about that. Finally, an advanced expression, if you will. You say this when you ask somebody to think about something, even though it may be strange or unusual. It sort of means, please permit me to say this. It's best explained if I give you some examples. Imagine, if you will, a world without internet. You'd have to let them talk TV at the cinema. Consider, if you will, the dangerous life of a deep-sea fisherman. I don't like him, but he is, if you will, the elected president, and we have to accept his decision. There you are. Hope you found that useful. Stay mellow. Have a great day. Bye.